Yo, what's up guys, Rezo here and welcome back to another Borderlands 3 video. Recently, I received a request to make a more in-depth version of my best leveling build for Flak. So today, I'm going to show you an in-depth approach to the best leveling build for Flak. If you like the video, then please leave a like and subscribe as it really helps out the channel. Let's get it. The build will begin in the Hunter skill tree, but why is that? The reason I chose the Hunter skill tree out of the other options boils down to a few factors. There are a lot of popular builds that utilize the Stalker skill tree for guaranteed crits. Fade Away when paired with Gorillas in the Mist augment will grant you 8 seconds of guaranteed critical hits. This combination is what a lot of those Stalker builds are focused around. However, there's a caveat to those Stalker builds. Fade Away has a 45-second cooldown. When you're leveling, you'll want to kill as many enemies as you can as quickly as possible. The Stalker tree leaves a large gap in your damage output. The reason I ruled out the Master tree is because you inevitably have to put skill points into your pet's damage output and not into Flak's damage output. I don't want to rely on an AI pet to reduce my time to kill mobs and enemies. Rack Attack. Flak sends forward 2 rack to dive bomb enemies. This skill has multiple charges and the cooldown is the lowest of the 3 trees at 18 seconds. This means that you can use the rack much more often than the other 2 action skills, which will result in more kills at a quicker pace and faster leveling for Flak. This will also be better for a run and gun style of playing, as Fade Away will tend to only beat out Rack Attack during boss fights at endgame. While leveling without high level gear, the 8 seconds of Fade Away will not be enough to surpass Rack Attack's multiple charges, especially when we unlock the augments further down the tree. I would rather make Flak the best he can be, especially when leveling from 1 to 30. This leaves only one choice, the Hunter skill tree. Starting off, there are 3 choices in the Hunter tree: Interplanetary Stalker, Leave No Trace, and Second Intention. Early game, you will be low on ammo often, so the clear first 3-point choice is Leave No Trace. When Flak scores a critical hit, there's a 36% chance for 1 ammo to be added to their magazine. This skill will give you, on average, an extra 11 shots in a 30-round clip, assuming that you hit all headshots. This will greatly help with the ammo shortage you tend to run into often in the early game. In order to get to the next tier of skills, we need to pick between 2 Hunter kill skills. Second Intention gives us only 6% reload speed after we kill an enemy, and if the last hit, the kill shot, was a critical hit, you gain 11% reload speed for only 5 seconds. Second Intention is mediocre in comparison to our other choice, so that means we will be putting 2 points into Interplanetary Stalker. Whenever Flak kills an enemy, we gain a stack of Interplanetary Stalker. For each stack, we gain a 4% damage bonus. Additionally, there's a unique stacking bonus that applies based on what type of enemy was killed up to a maximum of 3 stacks. 6% action skill damage per stack for human type enemies. 3% corrosive damage per stack for robot type enemies. And finally, 3% movement speed bonus per stack for beast type enemies. The bonuses from this tree are not anything to write home about, but they are the best option we have to choose from. Now that tier 2 is unlocked, we have another 3 options. Option 1, Hunter's Eye. Flak gains bonuses when fighting different types of enemies. Decent skill. Let's check out the other 2 first. Option 2, Head Count. Whenever Flak scores a critical hit, there's a 30% chance to reduce the action skill cooldown time by 2 seconds at max rank. Great option. Let's check the final option just to be sure. Option 3, Ambush Predator. While there are no enemies nearby, Flak's weapon handling and critical hit damage are increased. This skill's bonuses are appealing, but the caveat is that those bonuses are only applied while there are no enemies nearby. While leveling Flak, you will constantly be right on top of enemies, which makes this skill unreliable and inconsistent. When making a proper build, reliability and consistency are most important. Head Count appears to be the better of the 2 options remaining. 2 seconds off action skill cooldown time is a must-have. 3 points into this one. The only other option we have left is Hunter's Eye, and we will be putting 2 points into this skill because it's simply the best option we have left to choose from to get to the next tier. Don't forget to put on the action skill augment Rack Open a Cold One, which converts Flak's rack to cryo damage. Also, put on Falconer's Feast augment. When Flak's rack damages an enemy, a portion of Flak's health is restored. They won't be our permanent choice, but it's better than no augments at all. Tier 3 only has one option, and oh boy is it a good one. Two Fang. Flak has a 25% chance to fire an additional projectile per shot. What more needs to be said about this skill? It's one of the best skills in this entire tree, and for good reason. 25% chance to fire an additional projectile per shot, which supposedly doesn't consume additional ammo when it actually procs. 5 points into this bad boy. This unlocks Flock and Load. Flak sends forward an additional 2 rack per action skill use. This basically is a straight damage increase for our rack, which will kill enemies quicker and make us level up even faster. In Tier 4, we have two options. Option 1, the most dangerous game. Whenever Flak kills a badass or stronger enemy, we gain 25% increased damage, 10% increased critical hit damage, and an additional 33% handling at max rank. Additionally, we receive a cash reward too. Option 2, Big Game. Flak's hunter skills become 30% more effective and last 100% longer. Do keep in mind that Big Game buffs all hunter skills. This includes Interplanetary Stalker as well as the most dangerous game. Interplanetary Stalker at 2 points invested as we currently have it gives us a 4% damage bonus that stacks up to 12% damage bonus at 3 stacks. Big Game at max rank will increase our damage bonus further up to 15.6% damage bonus at 3 stacks. 3.6% damage bonus extra for no extra points than anything else is great. So adding in the other unique bonuses you get for killing specific enemy types, here is the damage list with Big Game included while at max stacks. The unique list is as follows. Human enemies give us 23.4% action skill damage bonus. Robot enemies give us 11.7% corrosive damage. Beast enemies give us 11.7% movement speed. So depending on the 3 enemies you kill to get your 3 stacks, you can determine your total bonus. The duration of this skill is not listed, however it will be 100% more than the base value with Big Game and max stacks. The damage numbers on the most dangerous game with Big Game and max stacks are as follows. Gun damage goes from 25% to 32.5%. Critical hit damage goes from 10% to 13%. Handling goes from 33.3% to a whopping 43.29%, and the duration doubles from 120 seconds to 240 seconds. Both of these options are must-have picks. For now, we can put 3 points into Dangerous Game and 2 points into Big Game. Don't worry, we will max out Big Game shortly. Also, equip your final action skill augment, Rackcelerate. Flak's rack have a 20% increased cooldown and gain an additional charge. This is a fantastic augment. The 20% increased cooldown will increase your cooldown from 18% to 21.6%. However, this is mitigated by head count, which gives our critical hits a 30% chance to reduce our cooldown by 2 seconds. You will have made back this cooldown in roughly 2 procs of head count. You will be level 22 at this point in the game, and your progress at leveling should increase quite a bit. Another rack usage will mean even faster leveling and progression. Tier 5 is now open, and there are 2 great options here. Option 1, Galactic Shadow. Flak deals 15% more critical hit damage, and enemies are less likely to attack Flak. The second option is Grim Harvest. Flak gains increased gun damage and action skill damage. Now we will put 1 point into Galactic Shadow. Critical hit damage is the best choice here. You would think our next point would go straight for Grim Harvest. However, if you remember, we only have 2 points in Big Game. An additional point in Big Game will grant us another 2.5% damage increase from the most dangerous game alone, as well as another 1.2% damage increase from Interplanetary Stalker. There's also a skill that we will take down the Stalker tree shortly, which will gain us another 2% damage increase. This totals the 5.7% damage increase from a single point investment into Big Game. Compare that single point investment to a 3% gun damage and 5% action skill damage increase with Grim Harvest, and you can clearly see the math doesn't lie. The extra gun damage is more valuable to us than the action skill damage is, so next we will be putting a point into Big Game. Grim Harvest is still a fantastic skill, so we'll be putting 3 points into it until we unlock the final tier. With the final tier unlocked, grab the capstone skill, Megavore. Flak gains a 20% chance to score a critical hit with weapons against any part of enemies. This skill is fantastic, and it'll be what we use until endgame, when we can do further testing on fadeaway with legendary capstones involved. Now we will head over to the Stalker tree. We have 3 options here. Self-repairing system. Flak's maximum health is increased and they constantly regenerate health. We want to stick to strictly damage increases for Flak himself to increase our leveling efficiency. So this one's a no-go. The next option, Sick'em. Pet attack command has lower cooldown and increased damage. Again, like I just said, we want to avoid increasing the damage of anything outside of Flak for the purposes of leveling as fast as possible. The final option is Furious Attack. After shooting an enemy, Flak gains a stack of Furious Attack. The damage bonus will be 20% at max stacks, and the handling bonus will be 48%, and each stack will last 4 seconds. However, this skill is also a hunter skill, so it'll benefit both bonuses by an additional 30% and double the duration of each stack. This will leave us with a damage increase of 26% at max stacks, a handling increase of 62.4% at max stacks, and each stack will last 8 seconds. This skill synergizes phenomenally with big game and other hunter skills. 5 points into Furious Attack all day. This will unlock tier 2, and yes, you guessed it, another 3 options. Option 1, Eager to Impress. Whenever Flak kills an enemy, action skill cooldown time is reduced. Whenever Flak's pet kills an enemy, action skill cooldown is reduced even more, and action commands cooldown is refreshed. Decent option. Let's look at the other ones first. Option 2, All My BFFs. Allies share a portion of Flak's total health regeneration. Flak's pet shares twice the amount of health regeneration. Great skill if you're in a party of friends and happen to have spec'd into a health regen skill or two, but for the purposes of this build, maximizing level efficiency, this skill is a no-go. Option 3, Overclocked. Flak gains 10% fire rate at max rank. After reloading, Flak gains another 10% fire rate for 4 seconds. Out of the options we have left to choose from, this is the clear choice. This unlocks tier 3 and another 2 options. Option 1, Lick the Wounds. When Flak is in fight for your life, their pet will attempt to revive them. The skill itself is great, but like I said before, for the purposes of this build, we will not be taking anything that takes away from our damage output. This option is a no-go for this build. Option 2, Turn Tail and Run. While moving, Flak constantly regenerates health and gains damage reduction. While still, Flak gains gun damage and fire rate. I have mixed feelings about this skill. Gun damage while standing still is 25%, but we will most likely not be standing still very often as enemies will be all over us the entire leveling process. That makes this skill inconsistent at damage output, and like I said before, we want consistency. If you're playing with 3 other friends, maybe you could take this. But for the purpose of this build, I would not recommend it when focusing on leveling as efficiently as possible. Standing still will slow down your leveling rate and slow down your gameplay. The best choice we have left to put points into is Eager to Impress. We will put 5 points into Eager to Impress in order to unlock the next tier. That will reduce the cooldown of our action skill by 1.25 seconds when Flak gets a kill, and by 2.5 seconds when the pet gets a kill. It's the best option we have, and especially when working with such a low cooldown action skill like Rack Attack, you might be surprised at how quickly we'll get our action skill back. That will unlock the 4th tier, and our 2 options are both amazing. Option 1, Hidden Machine. When an enemy has no target or is attacking a different target, Flak deals increased damage against them. This skill is amazing in a party or when using the fadeaway action skill, as you will be invisible and untargetable. We get 30% damage increase at max rank. Is this skill somewhat inconsistent? Yes. Do we like that? Not exactly. If you journey back over to the Hunter skill tree and take a look at Grim Harvest, you'll see that we have 3 out of 5 points in this skill. Is Grim Harvest guaranteed damage increase with no inconsistencies? Yes. If we stick 2 points into that, we get 6% guaranteed damage increase and an additional 10% action skill damage. I recommend to take 2 points into Grim Harvest at this point if you're mainly playing solo, as this will give you an overall more consistent damage increase. If you're playing in a party of friends with at least 2 other friends, you can consider leaving this skill at 3 out of 5 and investing those same points into Hidden Machine. Back over to the Stalker tree, we will take a look at our other option in tier 4, the Fast and the Furious. While above half health, Flak's gun damage is increased by 25% and his movement speed is increased by 10%. This skill is an obvious first choice in this tree. 3 points into this skill. I will go with the assumption that you're likely playing solo, so at this point, you should have only 2 skill points left. The absolute best option to choose is to put those 2 points into Hidden Machine. Now you might be wondering, hey Rizzo, you didn't cover which pets to choose. So let's go over it quickly, as I'm sure if you made it this far in the video, you're like my new favorite person. If you want to be technical, either the Guard Skag that gives you a 5% damage increase, or the Gunslinger Jabber that gives you a 5% movement speed bonus and a 5% critical hit damage increase are the 2 best options we have. I know this is a long video, and if you made it this far, thank you so much for supporting me. I couldn't do it without you. Don't forget that we can unlock capstones with legendary skills, so we can get some pretty ridiculous builds going at endgame. That's all for this video. If you enjoyed it, then please smash that like button and subscribe for more Borderlands 3 content. Let me know if you have any video ideas in the comments section below. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace!